Okay, so we've got to draw a diagram that the following notation represents. What does the R and the S represent, by the way? Caleb? The point. Therefore, you must have a point representing R and another point representing S. Those points must be there. And then the arrow above it tells us what, Jack?
Ray.
Ray. So can you describe what that does do and what it doesn't do?
So one end is staying where it is, and the other end is going on.
So the ray starts at R, goes through S and carries on. Okay. So a couple of things that I saw, I did comment on this. A couple of people had it going past R, which makes it a what? Remember? A line, yeah. You didn't draw the arrow, but if you do that, it makes it a line. And some people didn't have a dot for an S, which you might go, oh, but that's hard. But you've not included the points. A letter represents a point. So a couple of things there. Lots of you got this one right. Well done for you, because I didn't do this in class. So this shows that your ability to do that independently was on point. Those letters mean we have a T and a B. The arrow either end means it is a line, it goes through both. Okay, I can put an arrow on either end, so it looks like that. And then the bit that some of you didn't quite get was, what does this symbol in the middle mean? So, parallel. So I've now got to draw Y and Z, but I've got to draw it parallel. So Y and Z there, and the line should be parallel. So some of you kind of did the lines, but then just drew them next to each other and did the lines in the middle, or, you know, so you didn't quite get what that meant. All good? Two ways to get this correct. Write down an expression that explains what the following diagram show. So looking at question 1, we could have written P, Q, and that. I accepted that, but I also accepted what? So what would it be? It'd be a line through points P and Q, if you get it with all the vocabulary. So we've got line and points P and Q. We use all this vocabulary. So those of you that are thinking, oh, but why didn't I get an 8 for vocabulary? Well, I've written missed opportunities for vocabulary. That's the kind of thing I'm talking about. Yeah. Maybe you missed a chance somewhere. Right? You're going to do the next one, okay? The next one is so we've got line segments. Okay, line segment is the correct, not just line, it has to be line segment. Joining points P and Q, or we write it as P, Q with a line with no arrows. Okay. No. If you notice up here, that's why there's examples of it. Up here at the end, look, there's no dots on the R, so we don't have to do that. No finish. Okay. But again, line segment was the thing I was looking for vocabulary-wise, or written like this. Both gives you even more credit. Okay? The more you can show me, the more vocabulary, the more credit you can get. Yeah. All right. Just to let you know, I measured this one as roughly 292 degrees. Okay. Now, just to point out where people made mistakes, some of you, I think, measured the wrong side. You measured in this side of it, so people had like around the 70s and things like that. Unfortunately, this is the angle I was at. So, alright. So if we measured the wrong side, did that angle.
What do you do in the last one?
Okay, classify, which is lots of people did and several people missed out on that. McKenna? Oh, okay. Well, one thing would be to measure the inside and then take that away from 360. That'd be one way. But you have access to, I don't know what you used, but you actually have access here, and you did on the day, to a whole 361. Okay. So there are a couple. Maybe that's something that we need to look into. Caleb?
When it was classified into what type of animal?
Yeah.
Or
Okay, good. And which one is it? Reflex. This one is a reflex angle. Caleb, why is it a reflex angle? More than 180 degrees, making a reflex angle. Okay. If you measured this one, what would it have been if you had been correct? Not quite. 68. And that would have been an acute angle. Alright? So you can kind of give yourself a little bit of credit if you measured the other side correctly in terms of your measuring skill, but I was really checking your ability to measure that, or at least work that one out. Okay? So if you're measuring of the other one, I saw lots of 67, 70. 70 is a bit too far out. But 67, you just measured the wrong one. Right. I'm not going to do this one. Lots of people were pretty good with that. Now, the trouble with this type of question, so I'll just say, those people that got their papers closed, are you not making any notes, nothing? Okay. Coupled with this type of question, I do my very best to measure what you did, and I do it the way that I do it. All right, therefore, you might measure it slightly differently, but I try to be as accurate as I can, and you need to make it as accurate as you can. So sharp pencils, rulers, that kind of thing. Be super careful because you're not there to check my marking. And let's face it, if you're 1 or 2 degrees out, it's not a big deal. I'm not marking you down massively for that by any means. I might have written too small, 2 degrees, whatever. I'm just making you aware. I've not marked you significantly down for that kind of difference. So don't worry too much. Yep. Okay. Calculate missing angles in the following diagrams, NASA. 98. How do we do it though? How do I show my working? How? Riley? 47 plus 35 equals 82. Okay. And then we have 180 minus the 82 gives you 98. So that's 98. Go for it. Exactly. X is just 130. By the way, guys, we'll pay attention. I didn't specifically ask for any justification in this one. Okay? I didn't. So I'm not necessarily going to mark you down if you didn't write because it's a Z angle, that kind of. But however, if you did, you're just offering more evidence that you know what you're doing. All right? Any questions on that? No, I'll explain in a minute. I'm not marking that wrong. Okay. Now, this next question, we're all staying focused. Some of you are starting to drift. The important bit, you are starting to drift, and most people miss something on these two questions. I've written it down, but I need you to focus this bit. This is an improvement for pretty much everyone. All right? So, lots of people, I think, looked at this and went, well, that's a times symbol. Why it would be a times symbol, I don't know, right? It would not fit if there were a times symbol. And how do I know it's not a times symbol? If I read the question, it says, write down an equation and solve it to determine the value of times. No, that doesn't make sense. Make x. So that makes me think, well, that's an x. And lots of people correctly worked out that this would be 56. But there was one step left. Now, a lot of people didn't quite write down the equation. I accepted lots of versions, like, well, if you worked out, for instance, that 41 plus 83 is 124, I'd then be looking for 14 x's plus 124 equals 180. So that's writing the equation. So for a lot of you, I've written that by the side. That's the thing you were missing. And that's communication. That's where you've missed an opportunity to show some communication. And then we solve it. And now a lot of people did this, okay? So we've got 14 x's must be equal to, well, it's 180 minus the 124. So 14 x's equals 56. Daisy? So if 14 x's make 56, 1x must be 56 divided by 14, which is 4.
Oh, I got the answer.
It's not necessary. I think you just didn't use the equations. Write the equation, yeah? No, actually, I know why. You chucked in a y. You decided that this is 14x, and you put a y to say 14 times y. That's what you, I remember. That's an x, and it's not a times. Stand now, yeah? But now it's set the value of x, not put a new value. All right, guys. 5 minutes. Come on, stay focused. We're almost there.
If I can do 14 times what?
No, I know. That's why I was saying that that is not a time symbol.
Yeah.
It's an x. Can I just maybe draw your attention to something that is probably what's caused your confusion and you should think about in the future? Look at the way I've drawn my x and the way I've always done my x's. And then look at the way the x is done on the computer. Can you see the confusion? No?
There's the like
The written one, yeah.
it's like down the sleeves.
And I did that so it doesn't look like a time symbol, right? Now, I have to reflect on that and say, probably the question needs changing. Because probably the way the X is written has caused you the confusion, right? Caleb?
I was going to say a lot of the times table symbols are just written as actually.
Yeah. So, one thing for you to bear in mind, think about if that was what caused you the confusion. So NASA, for instance, definitely had the right idea, but put a Y in because he didn't see the X as an X. So when you write things down, be very mindful of how you're writing things, because you might cause confusion. I might think you've written something that you didn't think you'd written. All right. Anyone want to give this one a go now? Zoe? Yeah.
It doesn't really matter.
So we write the equation, and the equation, you got this one right. So the equation is 3x's has to equal 120. Those two angles are the same, so that's why we write that. So 1x be 120 divided by 3, so x is equal to 40. Okay. Good. So for a lot of you, Austin, well, a lot of you that was a problem. So I'm hoping you've added that. Have you added that, Jordan, to yours? Because that you didn't. You put it away already. Do you want to write that down? Oh, where's the black basket over there? No problem. I was going to help us out as well. All right, to finish off then. Lots of people knew exactly what was going on, but this was a vocabulary missed chance. So we know that P is complementary
Oh my.
to 42. So we do 90 minus 42 equals P. So P equals,
You mean you?
no. Complementary means adds to 90 degrees. P, 90 degrees.
You.
Wow. Q is vertically opposite to 42. Okay, so Q equals 42. Yeah. Now you've got a choice, Jace. If it was perfect, carry on talking, but I don't think it was. Q and up to you. R or R and 42. I'm going to go R and Q and R are supplementary. Okay, so therefore we know Q is 42 plus R is equal to 180. Therefore R equals 138. Now that is all the vocabulary I needed to see for that question. So the words Austin and Rao like, complementary I'm looking for, vertically opposite, and supplementary. Some of you got the idea, what one person wrote, R and 42 add up to 180, but didn't use the right word supplementary. Okay? Alright, obviously the bell's gone, but just to finish off, Y is 79. And what's the vocabulary? Supplementary, and they add up to 180. Again, stop packing up. I've had to remind people, that's why I'm a little bit beyond the bell. Okay? I'm not going to go through this final question, but I'm going to offer you, if you would like the answers to it, or go through how to do it, if that's something we want to be able to do, let me know. We can find a time to go through it. Otherwise, we're moving on to fractions.
Thank you.